They emerged like shadows in a time of war, moving among powerful armies and silent spies, building a legend that has endured for centuries. Were they invisible masters of the night, capable of vanishing in a cloud of smoke? Or were they simply skilled soldiers, transformed into myth by popular imagination? Today, we'll uncover the true story of the ninjas, from their origins and secret techniques to their influence on modern Japan. Get ready for a journey that will reveal secrets buried for generations. Have you ever wondered what's true and what's myth when it comes to ninjas? Stay with us until the end to find out. Our story begins in the 12th and 13th centuries during endless wars in feudal Japan. While samurai clashed on open battlefields, specialized groups emerged, trained in espionage, infiltration, and guerrilla tactics, the precursors of the ninja. These early agents were known as kusa or nokizaru, literally roof monkeys, and worked as spies and saboteurs for feudal lords at a time when intelligence was just as vital as brute strength. They lived in mountainous regions like Iga and Kōka, places that would later become legendary as the birthplace of ninjutsu. The social conditions of the late Heian and Kamakura periods created a demand for warriors who did not follow the rigid codes of Bushido. These men and women offered clandestine services, observing enemy troops, spreading misinformation, and even setting fire to supply warehouses. Ancient records mention groups who moved like shadows and struck unpredictably. They weren't samurai, they were something different, something that terrified even the most seasoned warriors. Testimony from a fictional Japanese historian specializing in chronicles of the Sengoku period. With the chaos of the Sengoku period, spanning the 15th and 16th centuries, the famous Iga and Kōka clans emerged, organized like true secret societies. They weren't mere bandits, they had hierarchies, rigorous training, and even their own codes of conduct. The ninjas of Iga, for example, became famous for their ambush skills and ability to escape through dense forests and mountains. Meanwhile, the ninjas of Kōka were masters of infiltrating enemy castles. Both clans were hired by various daimyos for missions that could change the course of entire battles. One of the most striking episodes was the war between Oda Nobunaga and the ninjas of Iga, known as Iga no Ran, 1579 to 1581, when Nobunaga decided to destroy the region because he couldn't bring it under his control. Even so, the fierce resistance of the ninjas made the campaign extremely costly for the great warlord. Did you know that the clash between Nobunaga and the ninjas almost changed the course of Japanese history? Few people realize there are centuries-old books that document the techniques of the ninjas. The most important of these are Ninpaiden, 1560, considered the oldest ninjutsu manual ever written. Shōninki, 1681, details strategies for espionage, codes of conduct, and methods of disguise. Bansenshūkai, 1676, perhaps the most famous, compiling hundreds of tactics, survival techniques, psychological tricks, and lists of specialized equipment. These manuals show that the art of ninjutsu was far more than combat. It involved intelligence, knowledge of medicinal herbs, meteorology, psychology, and even theater techniques to deceive the enemy. The classic texts reveal how ninjas studied their enemies' habits, mimicked their way of speaking, and disguised themselves as monks, merchants, or beggars to get close to important targets. Account from a fictional professor at my university, where there is now an academic course dedicated to studying ninjas. Rarely discussed in mainstream videos, the role of the kunoichi, women trained in ninjutsu, is truly fascinating. They were infiltration specialists who used their appearance as a weapon, gaining access to places men couldn't enter, such as the women's quarters of noble courts. Documents suggest they served as couriers, poisoners, and highly effective spies. While some historians question the actual extent of the kunoichi's role, oral tradition and legends keep the image of these shadowy female warriors alive. Do you believe kunoichi existed as they're portrayed, or are they just products of popular imagination? Throughout history, a few names have stood out, whether because of their legendary skills or fame that has endured for generations. Hattori Hanzo, perhaps the most famous ninja of all. He served Tokugawa Ieyasu and helped unify Japan. His name is so iconic, it even appears in movies like Kill Bill. Fuma Kotaro, known for leading daring nighttime raids and ambushes. Ishikawa Goemon, an outlaw who, according to legend, used ninjutsu techniques and became a symbol of resistance against the powerful. These figures blur the line between fact and myth, but they show how ninjas profoundly influenced Japanese culture. As time went on, ninjas evolved into true characters of fantastic stories. The idea that they always wore black comes from kabuki theater, where black clothing symbolized invisibility on stage. In reality, they preferred dark blue clothes to blend into the night. Myths like walking on water, vanishing in a puff of smoke, or throwing shuriken with deadly precision gained strength mainly from the 19th century onward, through popular books and later movies and anime. The legend of the invisible ninja is more a creation of entertainment than historical reality. But it's precisely this mythology that has allowed ninjas to survive through the centuries as cultural icons. The opinion from a fictional researcher specializing in Japanese folklore. With the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate in the early 17th century, Japan entered a period of relative peace. Many ninjas began working as police officers, security guards, or government spies. Some became martial arts instructors, passing down their knowledge through combat schools that still exist today. Others adapted to civilian roles as herbalists, traveling doctors, or even monks. Their ability to move discreetly and survive in hostile environments remained useful even in times of peace. Today, ninjutsu lives on both as a practice and a myth. There are schools that claim to maintain direct lineages from the ancient clans, such as Bujinkan and Genbukan. These dojos teach combat techniques, stealth, survival tactics, and philosophy. Their masters often carry titles that trace back to historical traditions. But there are also criticisms. Scholars and traditional martial artists question the authenticity of these schools. Many argue that they blend modern martial arts techniques with folkloric elements, creating a form of ninjutsu that's closer to what audiences expect from movies and manga than what actually existed historically. This controversy only adds to the fascination with the topic. After all, in a world of legends and traditions, it's difficult to separate truth from fiction. The true legacy of ninjutsu lies more in studying the mind, the environment, and the enemy than in flashy techniques. What many people train today is part of this philosophy adapted to the modern world. Testimony from a fictional contemporary Soke, grandmaster of ninjutsu. In real history, ninjas were spies and stealthy warriors, but in pop culture they've become superheroes. From classic films like Shinobi no Mono, 1962, to modern hits like Naruto, ninjas have evolved into characters with magical powers, superhuman abilities, and epic storylines. Games like Tenchu, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and Ghost of Tsushima explore the world of the shinobi with dark atmospheres and engaging narratives. Anime series like Naruto and Basilisk popularized concepts such as jutsus that manipulate natural elements, concepts completely disconnected from historical ninjutsu. But this transformation shouldn't be seen only as a distortion. It has helped immortalize ninjas in the global collective imagination, spreading their mystical image to millions of people. Do you think the ninjas we see in anime reflect historical reality, or are they pure fantasy? Today, cities like Iga and Kōka capitalize on their ninja heritage to attract tourists. The Iga-ryu Ninja Museum offers live demonstrations of escape techniques, shuriken throwing, and exhibits of ninja weapons and tools. Visitors can dress in ninja costumes and explore labyrinths inspired by medieval castles. In 2017, Mi University launched the world's first university course dedicated to the academic study of ninjas, drawing students eager to research the historical, archaeological, and cultural roots of ninjutsu. This blend of tradition and entertainment helps preserve the history of ninjas, even if it's mixed with tourist attractions. Many tourists come to Iga expecting to find ninjas exactly like they've seen in the movies. Our job is to show the real history and how these warriors influenced Japanese culture. Testimony from a fictional guide at the Iga Ninja Museum. Now that we've traveled through the ninja's journey, it's time to clearly separate some of the biggest myths. Black clothing. As we've seen, they preferred dark tones, but not exclusively black. Shuriken as their main weapon. Ninja stars did exist, but they were used for distraction or as a last resort, not as primary deadly weapons. Supernatural powers? Ninjas used psychological tricks, not magic. Abilities like vanishing in smoke came from knowledge of pyrotechnics and distraction tactics. But there are also truths. They underwent intense training in climbing, swimming, crossing rivers, and silent observation. They used privileged information as their most powerful weapon, proving that the true strength of a ninja was strategic intelligence. The greatest legacy of the ninjas may be the lesson that information and intelligence can be more valuable than brute force. They demonstrated that even in times dominated by bloody wars, there was room for strategies that confused the enemy without needing to spill blood on the battlefield. The story of the ninjas also teaches us about adaptation. From spies during civil wars, they became policemen, then martial arts instructors, and eventually global cultural icons. By remembering these warriors of the shadows, we can reflect on how myths shape our view of history, and how legends can both distort and preserve the memories of past eras. Many of the legends about ninjas were born from real events that over time gained fantastic twists. One example is the story of Hattori Hanzo helping Tokugawa Ieyasu escape through secret routes to Mikawa, which cemented Hanzo's reputation as a master of escape. Although there are records of the escape, there's no evidence of supernatural tricks, only strategic skill. Another case involves Fuma Kotaro, who, according to chronicles, planned traps in swamps to drown his enemies, something that could certainly be done with knowledge of the terrain, but was later romanticized as ninja magic. These narratives show how the extraordinary often arises from the ability to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. Studying the history of ninjas makes you realize how thin the line is between fact and legend. Every story carries a bit of truth and a lot of popular imagination. Opinion from a fictional researcher of Japanese folklore. Another fascinating aspect is the ninja arsenal. Their weapons were often adaptations of everyday farming tools, since carrying flashy weapons would have raised suspicion. Among these were gusarigama, a sickle attached to a chain, excellent for fighting in confined spaces; shuko, metal claws used for climbing or defending in close combat; makibishi, small spiked caltrops scattered on the ground to slow down pursuers; tetsubishi, a later, metal version of the makibishi, metsubushi, irritating powders thrown into the enemy's eyes, working as an early form of pepper spray. These items demonstrate the ninjas' creativity in using their environment and simple objects to catch opponents off guard. Did you know that many ninja weapons were actually farming tools adapted for warfare? More than weapons, ninjas specialized in destabilizing the enemy's mind. This included spreading rumors to create distrust within rival armies, simulating attacks to force troops to reposition, leaving critical areas exposed, using shadows, torches, or small explosions to confuse guards inside castles. These techniques are described in classic manuals like the Bansenshūkai, which dedicates entire chapters to distraction tricks, showing that mastering the opponent's mind was just as important as any physical skill. A ninja who could make the enemy believe they were surrounded had already won half the battle. Analysis from a fictional military strategist specializing in Japanese history. By introducing systematic infiltration and espionage techniques, ninjas revolutionized the way wars were fought in feudal Japan. Before their emergence, emphasis was placed almost entirely on large-scale battlefield engagements. Ninja guerrilla strategies inspired powerful clans to adopt misinformation and precision attacks to destabilize enemies. Changes that influenced conflicts until the end of the Sengoku period. Moreover, the success of ninja operations forced castles and cities to develop more complex security systems, including labyrinthine layouts, squeaky floors, and false corridors, many of which can still be seen in historic Japanese castles today. Did you know that some traps in Japanese castles were specifically designed to stop ninjas? With the relative peace that arrived during the Edo period, 1603–1868, the role of ninjas shifted. Many began working as onmitsu, official spies serving the Tokugawa shogunate. They investigated conspiracies, monitored feudal lords, and helped maintain order across the country. Others established themselves as martial arts instructors, passing down defensive techniques and mental discipline to samurai, and later to wealthy merchants who could afford private training. This evolution from outlaws to government agents shows how Japanese society learned to integrate ninja skills into its power structure. In recent decades, archaeologists and historians have been uncovering documents, tools, and even secret structures that confirm the presence of ninjas in specific locations. In Iga, excavations have uncovered underground tunnels that may have been used as escape routes. Researchers have also identified previously unknown manuscripts or older versions of classic ninjutsu texts, which include details about tactics and hierarchy that were previously lost to history. Moreover, the establishment of academic courses like the one at Mi University shows that serious study of ninjas has moved beyond mere folkloric curiosity and has become a respected discipline. Recent discoveries show that the history of ninjas is still being written, and that much of what we know today needs to be revisited in light of new evidence. Account from a fictional Japanese archaeologist involved in the Iga excavations. Ninjas have evolved from mere historical figures to symbols of the Japanese spirit, resilience, cunning, and adaptability. In many cities, they are treated as intangible cultural heritage, inspiring festivals, parades, and events that blend history with entertainment. This appreciation for ninjas goes beyond tourism. It strengthens regional identity, especially in places like Iga, where public schools include the history of the shinobi in their curriculum, teaching children to be aware of their cultural roots. Additionally, artistic groups reinterpret ninja stories in kabuki and no-theater performances, proving that these legends remain alive in traditional cultural expressions. While ninjas are part of Japan's heritage, around the world they've become icons of mystery and adventure. Hollywood films like American Ninja popularized the image of the black-clad warrior in the West, while series like Naruto expanded interest in ninja techniques, philosophy, and supposed powers across generations of fans. In countries like the US, Brazil, and France, martial arts academies began offering ninjutsu training, feeding global fascination. Even when the techniques taught have no direct historical connection, they help keep the mystique of the shadow warriors alive. This phenomenon demonstrates how myths can cross borders, gaining new meanings in every culture. Do you think the image of the ninja has changed for better or worse after becoming a global pop icon? Ninjas have become recurring characters in comics, movies, TV series, and animations, reinforcing stereotypes but also inspiring fresh interpretations. In cinema, films like Ninja Assassin explored the dark and bloody side of the myth. Meanwhile, in animation, titles like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles turned ninjas into cartoonish and entertaining heroes. In video games, franchises like Nioh blend historical facts with folklore and dark fantasy, while Mortal Kombat created iconic characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, reinvented ninjas tailored for Western audiences. Streaming platforms like Netflix have been investing in original productions set in feudal Japan, with ninjas appearing as central or supporting characters in epic stories, such as the series Age of Samurai. These portrayals show that regardless of how accurate or fantastical they are, ninjas remain relevant and fascinating to audiences. For many children and young people, their first image of a ninja doesn't come from history books, but from cartoons, games, or toys. Action figures, plastic swords, and themed costumes are sold worldwide, fueling the fantasy of becoming a shadow warrior. This playful image, although far removed from historical reality, sparks curiosity about martial arts, Japanese culture, and even the history of feudal Japan. Teachers report that an interest in ninjas often becomes a gateway for students to explore topics like samurai, Japanese castles, and the Sengoku period. It's amazing how the figure of the ninja, even when portrayed in a fantastical way, inspires children to learn more about Japan's history. Many comment from a fictional educator specializing in East Asian culture. The ninja legacy goes beyond cultural tourism. Today, licensed ninja-themed products generate millions of dollars each year in Japan. From souvenirs sold in train stations to clothing inspired by ninja uniforms, the entertainment and consumer goods industries have transformed the shinobi into an important economic asset for regions embracing this identity. Cities like Iga hold the annual Iga Ueno Ninja Festival, which attracts thousands of visitors and generates significant revenue for local hotels, restaurants, and shops. Additionally, specialized companies offer Ninja for a Day experiences, where tourists can practice shuriken throwing, learn basic camouflage techniques, and explore historical buildings used as ninja bases. These programs combine education and fun, boosting interest in ancient traditions. Despite the passage of time and the transformation of ninjas into pop culture icons, the original philosophy of ninjutsu still inspires lessons applicable to modern life. Concepts such as mental flexibility, adapting quickly to unexpected situations, sharp observation, noticing details that others might miss, silent discipline, acting effectively without drawing attention. Japanese companies and even leadership training courses draw parallels with ninja philosophy to teach business strategies, emotional control, and competitive analysis. This adaptation of the shadow warrior's philosophy to the corporate world is yet another example of how ninja ideas remain relevant even centuries after their heyday. Have you ever thought about how observational and adaptive skills, typical of ninjas, could help you in your personal or professional life? In contemporary Japan, regions like Iga and Kōka keep the memory of the ninjas alive as a key element of local identity. In Iga, for instance, the city hall incorporates the ninja theme in street signs, official mascots, and even marketing materials for the city. This construction of identity strengthens the sense of belonging among residents, who take pride in their historical roots. Additionally, regional educational programs teach children about the importance of ninjas, not as mythical warriors, but as a fundamental part of the region's social, political, and military development. This appreciation of the past shows how history can be a powerful tool for strengthening communities and fostering a sense of collective pride. More than historical warriors, ninjas have become universal symbols of humanity's fears and aspirations. Fear of the unknown, admiration for the ability to survive in hostile environments, and the desire to maintain control over complex situations. Because of this, they appear as characters who embody both darkness, associated with betrayal, assassination, and espionage, and light, as heroes who challenge the powerful to protect the innocent. This duality makes the ninja an archetype as versatile and fascinating as vampires, medieval knights, or samurai. Studying ninjas reminds us that myths are created to explain the fears, hopes, and values of each society. From the 17th century to today, the image of the ninja has undergone constant transformations. Once seen as outcasts and traitors by the samurai, they were later turned into heroes in novels and stage plays. In the 20th century, cinema gave ninjas superhuman powers, while in the 21st century, they became complex characters in series and video games, sometimes dark, sometimes humorous. This evolution shows how legends are shaped by the needs and values of each era. Today, while some look to the image of the ninja for lessons in self-confidence and discipline, others see it purely as entertainment. Do you think legends should be preserved as they are or adapted to stay alive for each new generation? In the age of social media, memes, and digital culture, ninjas continue to inspire viral content. Parkour videos with a ninja aesthetic rack up millions of views. Influencers use the image of the ninja to symbolize discretion and efficiency, and even productivity apps reference ninja modes as a metaphor for focus and secrecy. These examples show that even in a hyper-connected world, concepts associated with ninjas remain relevant, even if reimagined for the 21st century. Additionally, online communities constantly discuss both real and fictional ninja techniques, sharing historical information, digitized manuals, and weapon reconstructions. Throughout this journey, we've seen that ninjas were not supernatural beings, but they also can't be reduced to mere spies. They embody the perfect blend of reality and legend, a combination that is part of the allure of human history. Learning about the history of ninjas reminds us of the importance of questioning simplified versions of the past, understanding context, and valuing the complexity of the events that shaped civilizations. Above all, it reminds us that lessons in strategy, adaptation, and discipline are still relevant today. In some rural Japanese families, especially in the mountainous regions of Iga and Kōka, stories of ancestors who were said to be ninjas have been passed down from generation to generation. Even though many of these tales are more legendary than documented, they nourish family identity, serving as a reminder of pride in skills like resilience, cunning, and courage. These oral traditions include songs, proverbs, and stories that emphasize the importance of staying alert to one's surroundings, keeping secrets, and respecting the lessons of the past. Values that, for many descendants, remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago. My grandfather used to tell us that our ancestors used secret tunnels to escape enemy soldiers. For us, that has always been a source of pride, even if no one knows whether it's true or not. Account from a fictional resident of Iga. Few factors were as decisive in the politics of feudal Japan as the secret actions of ninjas. They not only gathered intelligence, but also influenced strategic decisions made by warlords. By exposing betrayals, false alliances, or fraud in marriage contracts between powerful families, they could seal or destroy crucial pacts. These activities affected not only battles, but also arranged marriages and political alliances, the foundations of power at the time. When a daimyo suspected his vassals of plotting against him, he would often turn to ninjas to uncover who was conspiring, giving shinobi an importance far beyond the battlefield. Although there was no codified ninja bushido like the samurais, documents such as the Shōninki describe ethical principles that govern the shinobi's conduct. Among them, loyalty to the employer. A ninja was expected to honor the mission, even at extreme risk. Absolute discretion. Anything seen or heard was never to be revealed outside the circle of trust. Moral flexibility. Unlike samurai, ninjas considered lying or disguising themselves as legitimate tools to achieve their objectives. These principles show that, even while operating outside the samurai code of honor, ninjas had their own ethical framework that prioritized results and loyalty to the employer. The fear of ninjas shaped aspects of Japanese architecture. Castles like Himeji and Matsumoto incorporated traps, false corridors, and squeaky floors, the famous nightingale floors, designed to alert inhabitants to stealthy intruders. Additionally, the homes of influential families featured secret rooms, hidden passages, and gardens designed to slow down the movements of potential attackers. These elements were so effective that they continued to be used until the end of the Edo period. Today, these architectural details are highlights of guided tours, fascinating tourists who discover how the threat of ninjas left physical marks on centuries-old buildings. Have you ever visited, or would you like to visit, a Japanese castle with secret corridors designed to stop ninjas? Some theories suggest that ninjas learned stealth and endurance techniques from the Yamabushi, mountain warrior monks who practiced shugendo, a spiritual tradition combining Buddhism, Shintoism, and extreme physical training. These monks lived in isolation, mastered secret mountain paths, and knew medicinal herbs and poisons, skills that would have been essential for ninjas. Although there is no definitive proof, the similarities between certain practices strengthen the hypothesis of knowledge exchange. This possible connection adds another layer of complexity to ninja history, showing how they may have absorbed wisdom from different traditions to refine their techniques. The figure of the ninja, even mixed with myths, is remembered as an example of resilience, someone who overcomes obstacles with creativity, patience, and discretion. In a world where many people face personal or professional challenges, the image of the ninja inspires the idea of perseverance and finding solutions outside the box. Japanese companies and business consultants have even developed motivational trainings based on the ninja mindset, encouraging teams to be flexible, quiet when needed, and precise in their actions. This symbolic use reinforces how the ninja legacy goes beyond military history, entering the realm of personal development. By studying ninjas, I learned that calmly observing and acting at the right moment can be more effective than rushing in. Account from a fictional executive who participated in a leadership program based on ninja philosophy. Although historically, the role of the kunoichi, female ninjas, was limited or shrouded in legend, in recent years they have been reclaimed as symbols of empowerment. Games, movies, and books have created female protagonists inspired by kunoichi, showing that courage, intelligence, and skill have no gender. This movement aligns with the growing interest in narratives that place women in central roles of action, leadership, and strategy, breaking down stereotypes that traditionally associated warriors exclusively with male figures. Additionally, martial arts schools report an increase in women interested in learning ninjutsu, motivated by strong female characters in anime and movies. Beyond field espionage, some ninjas served as secret agents on diplomatic missions, carrying messages between feudal lords or negotiating alliances while traveling undercover. These operations required skills in public speaking, etiquette, and mastery of regional customs so they could move without arousing suspicion. The success of these missions often prevented wars, as ninjas could deliver warnings, terms of surrender, or secret agreements between daimyos. Although these actions are sparsely documented, they played a fascinating and lesser-known role in resolving conflicts without bloodshed. A hidden side of the ninja world. The idea of the stealthy warrior isn't exclusive to Japan. In China, there were spies and assassins trained in techniques similar to those of the ninjas, known as the Jinyue, who served the emperor. In Korea, records point to secret agents from the Joseon dynasty who also employed disguises and infiltration tactics. These similarities suggest that espionage and the use of covert warriors were common strategies across ancient Asian societies, each adapting such practices to fit their own cultures and needs. Comparing Japanese ninjas with Chinese and Korean spies broadens our understanding of how different civilizations developed similar solutions for issues of security and power. Did you know that other Asian countries also had secret agents just as skilled as Japan's ninjas? Alongside the famous Iga Ninja Museum, other museums in Japan, and even in countries like the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, host temporary exhibitions dedicated to ninjas. In these displays, visitors can see original weapons, historical clothing, diagrams from ninjutsu manuals, and even participate in interactive activities that simulate camouflage techniques and silent movement. These educational initiatives help demystify the exaggerations found in fiction and present historical facts about ninjas, attracting audiences of all ages and keeping curiosity about these shadow warriors alive. Do you think techniques used by ninjas could be adapted to improve our professional lives today? Despite all the fascination, it's important to remember that many modern portrayals exaggerate ninja abilities to the point of turning them into almost magical figures. This romanticization leads many people to believe in impossible myths like walking on water or literally becoming invisible. This distorted view can overshadow the true achievements of historical ninjas, their intelligence, discipline, and mastery of their environment. That's why studying reliable sources and distinguishing fact from exaggeration is essential for understanding the importance of ninjas fairly. Do you think techniques used by ninjas could be adapted to improve our professional lives today? Ninjas symbolize how victory doesn't always depend on brute strength. They showed that observing, planning, and striking at the right moment can be more effective than direct confrontation. This lesson has endured for centuries and still inspires those looking for creative solutions in difficult situations. Whether it's a student facing exams, a professional managing crises, or an athlete overcoming stronger opponents, the ninja philosophy of strategic intelligence remains relevant. Learning about the patience of ninjas helped me control my anxiety before making important decisions at work. Account from a fictional project manager. Beyond driving tourism, ninjas serve as a tool of soft power for Japan, that is, influence based on culture and a positive image. Japanese embassies in various countries host ninja-themed events that attract audiences curious about Japanese culture. These presentations help improve international perceptions of Japan by showcasing traditions, values, and skills that impress and foster goodwill. This cultural use of the ninja figure complements other elements of Japanese soft power, such as anime, cuisine, and technology. The true legacy of ninjas isn't just in their stories of espionage, but in how they continue to inspire people around the world. Their principles of adaptability, discipline, and focus are taught in corporate workshops, educational programs, and even high-performance athletic training. This cultural longevity shows that ninjas represent something greater than physical abilities. They symbolize the capacity to see beyond appearances, anticipate movements, and act with precision. Qualities that remain relevant in an increasingly complex and fast-paced world. Throughout history, different cultures have created myths about figures who operate in the shadows, whether spies, assassins, shamans, or secret messengers. The ninja is Japan's version of this universal archetype, one who masters secrets, moves through forbidden places, and possesses information that others don't. This human fascination with the invisible reveals our attraction to hidden power, secret knowledge, and the idea that there are alternative paths to overcome challenges. Studying ninjas is also a way to understand how the need to find unconventional solutions is a fundamental part of human nature. Do you think our interest in ninja stories reveals more about them or about ourselves? In a time marked by information overload and little reflection, legends like those of the ninjas invite us to pause, imagine, and question. They remind us that not everything is black and white, that shadows are also part of life, and that true power often lies in seeing the nuances. These stories stimulate creativity, awaken curiosity, and encourage us to learn more about different cultures, contributing to a more diverse and rich perspective on the world. Studying myths like those of ninjas helped me better understand my own culture because it taught me to value stories that explain who we are and what we fear. The account from a fictional comparative mythology researcher. If the history of ninjas teaches us anything, it's that light cannot exist without shadow. In a society that often seeks only what is obvious, remembering that knowledge, patience, and strategy are built away from the spotlight is a powerful lesson. This duality between shadow and light, silence and action, reveals that balance is essential for overcoming challenges, and that sometimes those who don't seek attention are the most prepared to act when necessary. Among the most admired virtues of ninjas, persistence stands out. During missions that could last for weeks, they had to endure cold, hunger, and fatigue without losing focus. This resilience came not only from physical training, but from mental strength cultivated since childhood. These stories remind us that often, great achievements depend on the ability to stay steadfast even when everything seems difficult. The ninja teaches that success is rarely instant. It's the result of consistent effort, small steps forward, and strategic patience. When I think about giving up, I remember the ninjas who waited entire nights for the right moment to act. That inspires me to keep going. Account from a fictional student preparing for challenging exams. Since the 19th century, European travelers who visited Japan reported tales of phantom assassins called ninjas. These accounts, often exaggerated or misunderstood, fueled adventure books that circulated throughout Europe and America, embedding the ninja into Western literary imagination. Authors began to use characters inspired by ninjas to symbolize mystery, betrayal, or cunning, influencing spy novels and even detective stories. The presence of the ninja in world literature helped cement their global fame long before cinema popularized their exploits. In psychology and sociology, some scholars use the figure of the ninja as a metaphor to analyze social and behavioral phenomena. For example, the concept of the urban ninja describes people who move almost invisibly through big cities, mastering social codes and information networks. This comparison shows how the idea of the ninja, even when taken out of context, serves to explain strategies of adaptation in complex environments, where observing and acting discreetly can make all the difference. Have you ever felt like a ninja when you needed to act discreetly in a day-to-day situation? Although often confused, ninjas and samurai were opposites in both philosophy and function. While the samurai followed the Bushido code, which placed honor above all, the ninja was guided by effectiveness, flexibility, and results. The samurai was the warrior of light, facing enemies head-on. The ninja was the master of shadows, striking indirectly. This difference reveals two complementary visions of feudal Japan: the honor and strength of the samurai and the cunning and adaptability of the ninja. Understanding this duality helps us grasp the richness of Japanese culture and why both became such powerful symbols. In addition to appearing in war chronicles, ninjas also feature in ghost stories from Japanese folklore, known as kaiden. In these tales, the spirits of deceased ninjas return to complete unfinished missions or avenge betrayals. This presence in kaiden reinforces the supernatural aura that surrounds ninjas, blending reality with spiritual elements that inhabit Japan's popular imagination. These legends continue to inspire horror films and manga that explore the darker side of the shinobi. Ninjas trained intensely in forests, mountains, and rivers, developing skills that relied on a deep connection with nature. They learned to interpret animal sounds, to detect strange presences, to camouflage their tracks in wet earth, and to use medicinal plants to treat wounds or poison enemies. This relationship with the environment also shaped ninja philosophy. For them, nature was both ally and teacher. In many cases, they mastered techniques for moving silently among trees or swimming long distances in the rivers of the Iga region, skills detailed in manuals like the Shōninki. The forest was the true dojo of the ninjas, where they learned that patience and respect for nature were just as important as any combat technique. Account from a fictional historian specializing in ninjutsu. Some human behavior experts point out that ninja principles can be adapted to improve personal relationships. Listening more than speaking, observing details in others' behavior, and knowing when to act are effective strategies in negotiations, friendships, and even romantic relationships. These modern applications have nothing to do with espionage, but rather with social awareness, showing that the ninja's skills in perception and self-control still have practical relevance today. Do you believe that observing more and speaking less, like ninjas did, could help improve our relationships? Visual artists, photographers, and sculptors create works inspired by ninja aesthetics and philosophy. Exhibitions in Japan and other countries display paintings, installations, and performances that reinterpret the ninja myth, exploring themes such as silence, movement, and transformation. These artistic expressions keep the image of the ninja alive in today's cultural landscape, provoking reflections on how shadows can be symbols of introspection and strength. In addition to appearing in war chronicles, Ninjas also feature in ghost stories from Japanese folklore, known as kaiden. In these tales, the spirits of deceased ninjas return to complete unfinished missions or avenge betrayals. This presence in kaiden reinforces the supernatural aura that surrounds ninjas, blending reality with spiritual elements that inhabit Japan's popular imagination. These legends continue to inspire horror films and manga that explore the darker side of the shinobi. Ninjas trained intensely in forests, mountains, and rivers, developing skills that relied on a deep connection with nature. They learned to interpret animal sounds, to detect strange presences, to camouflage their tracks in wet earth, and to use medicinal plants to treat wounds or poison enemies. This relationship with the environment also shaped ninja philosophy. For them, nature was both ally and teacher. In many cases, they mastered techniques for moving silently among trees or swimming long distances in the rivers of the Iga region, skills detailed in manuals like the Shōninki. The forest was the true dojo of the ninjas, where they learned that patience and respect for nature were just as important as any combat technique. Account from a fictional historian specializing in ninjutsu. Some human behavior experts point out that ninja principles can be adapted to improve personal relationships. Listening more than speaking, observing details in others' behavior, and knowing when to act are effective strategies in negotiations, friendships, and even romantic relationships. These modern applications have nothing to do with espionage, but rather with social awareness, showing that the ninja's skills in perception and self-control still have practical relevance today. Do you believe that observing more and speaking less, like ninjas did, could help improve our relationships? Visual artists, photographers, and sculptors create works inspired by ninja aesthetics and philosophy. Exhibitions in Japan and other countries display paintings, installations, and performances that reinterpret the ninja myth, exploring themes such as silence, movement, and transformation. These artistic expressions keep the image of the ninja alive in today's cultural landscape, provoking reflections on how shadows can be symbols of introspection and strength. Ninja ethics still spark debates today. Some see their practices as treacherous and dishonorable, while others view them as proof of intelligence and adaptability. The Bansenshūkai makes it clear that, for ninjas, the ultimate value was the success of the mission, even if that meant lying, disguising themselves, or eliminating targets. These choices raise questions about ethical boundaries between means and ends. How far is it acceptable to go to achieve objectives? This question remains relevant today, whether in corporate, political, or personal contexts. Many modern martial arts practitioners share stories of how learning about ninjas helped them confront fears. Fear of the dark, of unknown places, of acting alone, or of standing out in public. The image of the ninja, who operates in silence and overcomes extreme situations, becomes a powerful metaphor for those who need to step out of their comfort zones. These stories show that more than entertainment, the ninja myth can be a tool for personal development. In ninja philosophy, silence was more than the absence of sound. It was a weapon. They knew that those who spoke too much revealed information, and those who moved noisily gave away their intentions. This appreciation for silence as a strategy contrasts with today's world, where many feel compelled to speak constantly. Studying ninjas reminds us that often silence can be more powerful than any word. In times of crisis, knowing how to remain quiet and observe before acting is a skill few master, yet it can make all the difference. Part of the fascination with ninjas comes from their mystery. Covered faces, secret techniques, and an aura of invisibility have fueled imaginations for centuries. This mystery is also one of the ninja's greatest cultural weapons, allowing each generation to reinvent the myth according to their fears and dreams. The allure of the unknown ensures that books, movies, and games continue to explore the figure of the ninja, keeping their legacy alive as a global cultural icon. Among the most powerful weapons of the ninjas, none was more important than self-control. Without mastery over their own emotions, any strategy could fail. This lesson has endured through the centuries. Staying calm, controlling impulses, and deciding with composure are qualities that still distinguish those who act wisely from those who succumb to panic. Learning about ninjas made me realize that conquering yourself is harder and more important than defeating any external enemy. Account from a fictional martial arts practitioner. Although ninjas are figures deeply rooted in Japan's history, they have become universal. Today, people from different cultures and languages recognize the ninja as a symbol of skill, discretion, and strategy. This global recognition makes the ninja a bridge between Eastern and Western traditions, showing how myths can unite people by inspiring mutual admiration. Perhaps the greatest lesson ninjas offer is that within every person lies the ability to adapt, observe, and act with precision when necessary. The figure of the ninja reminds us that even in times of uncertainty, we can be the strategists of our own lives, seeking knowledge, learning to read our surroundings, and acting at the right moment. This message makes the story of ninjas more than just a tale from the past. It turns it into a source of inspiration for those who want to grow, overcome fears, and achieve their goals with intelligence and discretion.